Hey everybody, this is Brett, and tonight I'm going to talk to you the opposite way. I've decided that I'm tired of looking at you guys, and you're probably tired of looking at me. So I'm going to do the whole video this way. I'm just kidding. You know me. I'm always messing around, comicking things. So I can't tell you for sure that I'm going to have a lot of energy tonight because I really don't. I feel like going to bed early. And that's not been the case for quite a while. I've been staying up late and even getting up still relatively early. Hi, Melissa. Hi, Light Within. And so tonight, though, maybe it's caught up with me, and I feel like going to bed earlier, but we'll see how long I last. So I've written down a bunch of things here, and I hope that you can see me okay. I don't feel like turning on the other light. It's like I don't feel like being blinded. I feel like it just keeping the light dim and gentle and nice. Hi, Matt. Hi, Diana. Hi, Christ. Hi, Jesus Christ, Montana. So everyone has an agenda, and I think it's really good to think of things like this, to know, and sometimes to ask yourself, I wonder what their agenda is. Because knowing what a person's agenda is leads you to understand whether they're righteous, where they're coming from, and where they're going. And I've told you before that I don't think that Trump's agenda is very righteous, and I think that it's very self-centered. And some of you instantly are angry at me. And it's hard for me to believe that I even have still some Donald Trump followers, because you know that I'm pretty much against him, no matter, not everything, but for the most part. Let's see. So if everyone has an agenda, then you might want to look at like what their priorities are. That's all connected. And some people think that the best thing to do is to try and save everyone on Earth. And some people think that Bill Gates has like diabolical intentions, because his agenda is to save everyone with vaccinations. And that may or may not be true. You know, maybe Bill Gates honestly does think that he can save people with vaccinations, and that, you know, just he so happens to be able to make a whole lot of money from that at the same time. Maybe he's just kind of convinced himself that what he's doing is right, but deep down within his subconscious, he's saying to himself, man, I can make a lot of money from this. Do you think, you know, maybe it's a combination of both, all of the above? But regardless, those of us that understand nature and health on a deeper level, a little bit deeper, it doesn't take a whole lot. We know that you can't break certain rules. And the cool thing about all of that is that we know also that if you do break the rules, that the earth will fight back and kick whoever's butts and show them the truth. And it might do that through famine. It might do that through drought. It might do that through a virus. There are so many ways that nature can wipe out and or just really throw a wrench in human society. And humans think that they're so invincible. They've built dams to hold back massive amounts of water. And they've created floodgates and all of these different things that are really quite amazing, honestly, but nothing compared to nature. And fires, and so many different things that nature can deal to humans, that that all of that really humbles us, humbles us. And a little while ago, I was having a bit of a debate with someone. Let me get a drink of water. And and it was about essentially the balance between sympathy and compassion and discipline and tough love. And those of you that know me probably would guess that I would be on the discipline and tough love side. And she was taking the side of sympathy and compassion. And really, there's a balance there. There's a real balance, just like everything else. But for me, I was thinking to myself a little while ago that I don't really have to take the sides so much anymore now of the hard line and the tough love and discipline, which is the planet Saturn. I don't really have to take that so much now, because something else has come along to do that for me, and it's called the coronavirus. And so, at least at this point in time, at least like some of you may have still like a lot of compassion, etc., for a lot of people out there. So it depends on what you're looking at right now. But for me, looking at the overall picture lately, the overall picture of how the air is clean again, and people are being forced to stay in their houses, I'm taking the nanner side and the hardline side, that y'all better get your health together, get your what together in regards to your health, or because if you catch the coronavirus, you may be done. But the reality of it is that most anyone with a brain out there has thought of this, and they're thinking about it. But whether they're really taking it seriously or not and actually making changes is another story. Because that's, it's a different deal, actually doing it instead of just thinking about it. And so, really, some people out there, and you should know this, are thinking that, hoping that, wishful thinking that the coronavirus is just going to go away, and or technology is going to come up with a magical vaccination for this, kind of like they did with polio. And I suppose it's possible, but once again, it's just a quick fix. And if you're somebody that's severely overweight, well, you are severely overweight. If you're somebody that has clogged arteries and veins, then, well, that's the case. That's the deal. And if you've burned out your pancreas and you've got diabetes, well, you've made a mistake, and you're going to have to do your best to try to not get the coronavirus. And I think that we may very well see a lot of people continuing to wear masks for a long time. And yes, I do believe that that any kind of electrical exposure, whether it be just regular, electromagnetic fields from your house or your computer, the cell phone towers, that all has an effect on our health. And there are people out there that just don't believe that, but that's really true. It's how it is. So, there are people out there that keep referring to the coronavirus situation is that we can beat this. Like, we can win this war. And it's really not a matter of that at all. It's a matter of allowing it to teach us lessons and not trying to fight against it. No, it's a matter of each individual making the changes that they need to make as quickly as they can without causing too much stress so that they can improve their health. And if they really radically need to do that, then they do need to protect themselves until they've gotten stronger, at least until they've gotten strong enough that they feel confident that they're not going to die if they catch it. So I'm not trying to be too smug anymore. In the beginning, like say a couple, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was really kind of still scared and also kind of on my high horse. And that's because I'd gone for so long with telling people that something like this is going to happen, and that, whenever there's a weak link in a body or in a society or in a world, and then the pressure gets put on those things, then obviously the weak link is what breaks. And a lot of people have a lot of, hi Joe, a lot of people have a whole lot of weak links in all ways: mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional. I hope you're able to see me good because it's kind of flashing a little bit. Is the reception good out there, Joe? So, anyways, yeah, that is showing up as a problem here in the United States because, like, the coronavirus has spread more than anywhere else, which is largely to do with the number of people that are able to travel and have been able to travel in the United States to other countries, and they brought it all back. They hopped on the airplanes, they hopped on their cruise ships, and they brought it all back here. And so, yeah, it spread like crazy, and people aren't very healthy here, so it takes its toll. So, if my mind is not well, I work on my body. Okay, so for me, whenever I feel stressed, and this whole thing has really kind of whooped me into shape in regards to focusing on the now, as many of you have done with other programs, like Eckhart Tolle, etc., and the book in the Power of Now, etc. But when I was really stressed a couple of weeks ago, and I can still get that way now, but not near as much, and I was getting used to this new world, and it really is a new world now. It's a whole different scenario, isn't it? You just throw one little wrench into the mix, and what happens? Now, there can be more. I hate to say. There can be other things that domino off of that. I'm not going to get into that because I haven't really thought of it too much yet. But I think that whenever I'm not feeling good mentally lately, mentally is how it's mostly been bugging me. What I'll do is I'll then connect that with something that I need to do. Like, I'll feel a pain. Right now I feel a pain in my upper back, in my upper and middle back. And so you know what I'm going to do right now? Let me show you. Before I started this tonight, I went and I massaged my feet and I stretched my legs. And I know that if I do that, my mind will work better when I'm doing a live broadcast like this. If I feel a pain in my back, I'll take this Theracane and I'll massage it like this. And it feels really good. But it also needs to crack. And so what I'm saying is that if I work on my body and get it to feel better by doing that, and also by rolling on this, which is what I'm going to do right now. So excuse me for 30 seconds. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. So if I do something like that, even like for just a few minutes, then I feel better physically, and then I feel better mentally. And you really need to monitor your body constantly. And and I should talk about emotions in those regards too, because like if you feel bad emotionally about something, then you could perhaps do a mental and or physical exercise, and then you'll probably feel better emotionally depending on how deeply emotionally troubled you are. But you know, it's kind of like massage too. You may have an area on a person's body that's got like inflammation, some kind of a bad problem in a particular area where there's a lot of heat created, and you don't want to create more in that area. So what do? Well, you work on something else adjacent to it, or possibly mentally. You can have somebody that you can tell, like for you massage therapists, you can tell that they're really stressed about something that's going on in their body, or maybe even in their lives, or a combination of both. And a good massage therapist knows to do some kind of a neck work like this on them. They're laying there and they're like, oh my God, my life is going to hell, and they're telling you all their problems, etc. And so you're massaging their neck, you're massaging their face like this. You're working on them, all these different massage techniques up here. You're working on their ears, okay? And pretty soon, that massage on their ears is melting their minds, and they're going to a new world of peace and relaxation. And then you change their minds, what's going on in their heads. And this is real healing, okay? This is not like some BS that your doctor dealt to you in a bottle, you know? This takes real work. And like every single person out there, like all of you should have massage tables, especially couples. But even singles, you've got friends. And all you have to do is talk them into coming over for a trade, like someone did for me a long time ago before I'd never even done a massage. And even if you're just doing something in pajamas, clothes, because you're scared to get naked, that's okay. Anything works. Just get started with something. And you can go on Craigslist and you can find a good quality yet inexpensive used massage table that's like brand new, that somebody went to massage school, they got a table with their schooling, and they decided they didn't want to do massage anymore, like so many people do, because they don't want to do their healing. And massage is real healing. If somebody really works on you deep the way I do, you'll know it, baby. You will know it. And when you leave, you better be careful when you drive home, because you'll still be like, like that. So conspiracy theories, real or not. So if you're into conspiracy theories right now, you are just having one hell of a good time pondering on this and thinking about that and exclaiming this or that. and sharing this or that, all of these different things, and trying to project your thoughts about all these different things. The world is flat, and Paul McCartney is not the same Paul McCartney. He died in 1966. And the coronavirus was caused by 5G, and or no, it was caused by the FBI, all kinds of things. And, you know, for me, I don't like to spend that much time on those things. Some may have some degree of truth to them or not, but I can't even remember what I was going to say about that. And there's probably a good reason for that, because I'm really not all that interested in conspiracy theories. Oh, here's the deal. The truth always rises to the surface in time. And so all you really have to do is allow that to happen. And if you know the deeper truths. Okay, the deeper truths are, and I'm going to tell you one of those things that I've been working on lately. In addition to staying in the now, I'm able to stay in the now by focusing on what I am doing. And if I'm making a pillow, I have to really focus on just making a pillow. Or sometimes I'll actually screw up, and then I'll have to redo it. Or if I'm focusing on reading a book about search engine optimization, I really have to focus on that. Even if I'm just walking to the mailbox. Here, it's kind of steep going from the cabin down to the road, and there's gravel on it, and I have to really focus on that. And I fully and completely believe that the universe is feeding me whatever I need and or whatever the universe wants me to be presented with. Okay? This is really, really important, because if you truly and deeply and solidly believe that you're in partnership with the universe, then it's like a higher purpose. And I really believe that when I'm talking to you, oftentimes I'm really, really in the now. I'm really focused. And I'm also really focused on channeling whatever it wants me to tell you. And so when you have a higher purpose, it gets rid of worry a lot. It doesn't completely get rid of worry. There's no complete or absolutes on anything. But if you can find something that you really love to do in life, and you really focus on that, and if that thing is really of value, see, that's a huge thing right now. There are people, and there have been people out there doing some things that maybe they were somewhat valuable, maybe they were somewhat valuable before. But now, those things are not essential. As an example, like, I really need my mailman. Everyone out there really needs their mailman and the people that work at the grocery store. These are essential things that people really need. People probably feel right now a higher state of value and responsibility. Do you know what I mean? Have you thought about this? And so, those of you that really haven't had something, have been doing something that was like really valuable, truly valuable, then maybe you'll find something, because like people are going to be forced to find new things to do. And hopefully those new things are more bottom line valuable than things from the past, because it's a new world. It's a new world now. Imagine that. It's kind of like a brand new world. So personally, I like browsing the internet on a full-size computer, like or a laptop. But I think to myself sometimes, man, I don't know how people can do that on cell phones. That would, I mean, I know people get good at it. People get really good at zipping around on their cell phones. But for me, I really like, first of all, not just using the laptop, but I don't like using the trackpad, and I don't like using the keyboard on the laptop. I like using this mouse because it's way better, way more accurate, way faster. And I like using this big keyboard right there. So I think that people can do without cell phones because I do without one. I don't use one at all. And I think that a lot of things we need to go back to. Sure, maybe you might need to use a cell phone. They need to create some new plans for people that just occasionally use their cell phones. That's what we need. And people really need to start rethinking that and not using them near as much and or not at all, maybe, like I do. I only buy minutes for my iPhone 6s once in a blue moon if I go travel somewhere. Because when I drive to Asheville, like, how often do I need to use a cell phone? How often do I really need people don't even call me here at the home phone that often. I'll get a couple of calls a day, maybe 2, 3, 4 calls a day, all day. And I know that other people may have different requirements for talking with people, but I really and honestly think that most people don't really need cell phones with them all the time. Nor do they work near as good for ordering things, for talking on YouTube. I mean, I am so glad that I don't have to look at a little screen at you and try and read the live chat on a cell phone. That would suck. It would suck. So, speaking of conspiring, I'm conspiring to sell all of you a Millet Whole pillow because I think that it's entirely possible that all of you could be forced, just like a vaccination, to buy one of my Millet Whole pillows and sleep on it. And after you do, you'll have better health. And then I'll have like a bigger ego because I'll know that everyone is sleeping better. Okay, so that's really what I'm moving away from, like this attitude of that my stuff is better and blah blah blah. And even though it is, I'm trying to get to a place where I'm just doing my job. You know how, like, if you're working for somebody else out there, there are people that are working for somebody else and they really are dedicated to working that job. Even though I'm self-employed, I'm kind of thinking more in those terms. And I read this article where, like, in one of the Scandinavian countries, the politicians don't make anything more than the average person in that country. I don't remember, I think it may have been Norway. But the politicians are not looked up to as being a higher person. They don't make any more money than the average person. And basically, all they do is they do their job. They have this to do, they have that to do. They have this to do, they have that to do. They get up and they do it. They eat their breakfast and they're not placed on any kind of a higher pedestal at all. And I've been getting largely into that state of being with my mind and my lifestyle and my emotions and everything. And I really kind of like it because I'm not worried about whether my business survives or not that much. I kind of just, I still am, but I'm not. I kind of just know that if I really try my best and I work my hardest and I make things as good as I can make them and I try and make people happy with my products, that basically that's all I can do. And at the end of the day, I can say to myself, well, I did my best, and that's all there is to it. And so what more can I possibly do? And so that's it. That's the end. There's no need to worry at all, right? Okay, so right now there's just a whole lot of polarity. And you may see people out protesting because they're not allowing the states to go back to work. They're not taking the mandatory quarantines off yet. And that's making a lot of people nervous. And when people get nervous, what do? They start to get crazy. And that's probably justified for a whole lot of people because their businesses or their livelihoods or their bills are getting, all of these things are coming to a head. Inspiring theories are just more mind-numbing, fear-grabbing news. So it's good to come back to center because you're going to be exposed to all of these different things out there, all of this craziness. There's just a whole lot of polarity. And there are going to be people like me that come on and say, hey, all these people, they deserve to be in fear because they've not taken care of themselves well. And then there are other people that will come out and say, well, we need to save these people no matter what. And how do you dare stand in line with no mask on? And how can you say that my grandma just died of the coronavirus or blah, blah, blah. It goes on and on and on. So there's all of this polarity. There's all of this polarity. But once again, you should know that the truth always rises to the surface. The higher truths rise above the other truths and lies or whatever. And so just give it time. And when you expose, and sometimes you will want to hop in the mix. You'll want to jump on board and make a statement. Or you'll want to, be involved. You want to go protest something. That's cool. But after you've done that, you get out. When you do that, you get out on a limb. Come back to the center of the tree. Come back to the trunk for a breather and take a little break and come back to center, which is where God is, and rejuvenate yourself, recoup and get ready for another round. It's just like a boxing round, right? They come in and they go at it and they fight. But they don't just keep fighting for an hour. They have the intermittents where the round is over and they go back to their corners and they sit and they have a 30-second break, or whatever it is. So we all need to do that. We all need to do that. So I already told you the funniest COVID-19 story with a woman walking on a completely peaceful road. There's no cars and no people, no nothing, but she's still got her mask on. She's still trying to breathe through that cloth, which is a lot more difficult than if there's no cloth at all. And she's talking on her cell phone. And I think that some of the people that watched that video, I think there were like 7 thumbs downs. And I think that was probably because those people also are doing that. They're wearing their masks in their cars. They're wearing their masks. I saw a guy today at the grocery store. He was clear out to his car and there wasn't anybody around him at all. And maybe he just forgot that his mask was on, but he still had it on. So check this out. Healthy people still get to enjoy their lives for the most part. other than the amount of crap that we see that's caused by all the unhealthy people that are all in fear. But the healthy people still get to like live a healthy, fun life, you know. Whereas all the rest of the people that were fat and happy are no longer fat and happy. They're fat and sad, and that's because they're they're thinking that they better change. They better change. Okay, so the business of saving the mass overpopulation. Okay, so yeah, like the Bill Gates Foundation is a business that's geared towards saving the mass overpopulation of human beings. We all know that the Earth is massively overpopulated, but there are people out there that are thinking to themselves, hey, how can we save all those people? Like Monsanto and Bill Gates. And they're going to say, they're going to justify their businesses by saying that, hey, we're saving lives. You can't be against that, can you? You can't be against that because that would be like against God. What kind of a dastardly person are you to say that it's not right to try and save all those lives in camps or wherever, all those people that are starving in Somalia and etc. So so they think that it's okay to do something against nature to accomplish their goals and to make a whole lot of money. And a lot of us don't believe that's the case. We don't think that that's righteous, ethical, or specifically the way to do that. But luckily now we have millions and millions of people that might be thinking about a new occupation, a new job. And you never know, maybe they'll go join the Peace Corps and go do real healing by teaching people in, say, Africa how to grow food, how to maybe someone will donate money for wells to get water in arid areas, all kinds of legitimate ways to save lives, not from vaccinations and by feeding them GMO corn and soy and wheat. Those are all completely illegitimate ways to save lives. Only natural ways are acceptable with God, with nature, and with the way it should be. So like I've mentioned in couple of previous videos, the United States is not wealthy. Now, it may be financially, temporarily wealthy still, and it has been in the past. But health is wealth. Health is the number one most important thing in life. It's the number one most important thing. And if the people overall, the overall people are not healthy, but their bank accounts are really overexpanded, then they're overexpanded artificially. And that's not going to last. That's the problem. It's not going to last. And that's what we're seeing now. The wealth of the United States going down the toilet, largely because, almost completely because of the poor health of so many people that were afraid that those people, if they catch the coronavirus, that within a matter of weeks, they'll be dead. So we're all in this state of paranoia. And the hospitals, the people that work at the hospitals, not the administration of the hospitals, because, well, they don't get direct exposure to all the people that are coming there that have the coronavirus. But all the people that have direct exposure are also really nervous about catching the coronavirus from all the people that are coming to their hospital to have it. And so a lot of them are being told to stay home unless they have it so severe that they're damn near dead. And somebody said that a lot of the people that are coming to the hospitals, they have such a low oxygen count in their bloods, down to like 25% or 25 parts, whatever it was, which is like, it's supposed to be in the 90s. And they got it, they were so oxygen deprived that it was down to like the 20s, the mid 20s. And there's no way that somebody's going to recover from that. And that it was in that video that I shared with you the other day. It was probably yesterday, from the Hippocrates Health Institute in Florida. And that's one of the main things with COVID-19, loss of oxygen. And so besides that, he was talking about how the cell phone towers also reduce your amount of oxygen absorption ability. And so that increases the problem with the COVID-19, which is a respiratory problem. It causes respiratory difficulties. And so now you can take that to another level and start talking about the other things that cause respiratory illnesses, like smoking or smog or dust mites or mold, all of these different things that you can breathe in that cause respiratory illness. And there's a whole lot of that. Some people don't know that they have, or maybe for whatever reason, they don't know they have mold in their houses. And maybe it's just mild, but that also causes more difficulty if you catch the virus. So these politicians that are closing down the states, for a degree of good reason, depending on which state, these politicians are afraid to lose their careers. Either way, they're afraid to close it or to keep it open. One of the two. There's pressure coming from all sides. And some people might be afraid, like a restaurant might be afraid to open if they don't do all of the different precautionary things. They might be afraid to get sued by somebody whose grandmother went to their restaurant and then subsequently died of the coronavirus because she caught it there. And they might say something like, I mean, God knows how many different circumstances there might be. But she might say something like, well, why didn't you have a plexiglass screen all around me at my table? But really, the bottom line is that if you're healthy, then you don't have to worry about losing your human mortality. And if you're spiritually healthy, then you're not worried about it anyway. Now, let's see. So the body knows what it needs in regards to healing first. And the body is sending signals to the mind, whether it be a pain or an itch or nausea or gas. The body is sending signals to the brain in different ways. And a whole lot of people, they actually don't understand that very deeply. They kind of get it. They kind of get it, but they don't know how to deal with it because nobody ever taught them these things that I teach you, these tools that are in my bag. And I really want to do more massage videos, and I wish I could find some time. I've actually been somewhat busy lately. That's very good. I made a couple of beautiful Foot Friend multi-tools for my good friend Brian and for someone else. And I really appreciate the business, y'all. I've been making pillows. I've been making orthotics sometimes. But yeah, I really appreciate the business. Go to brettsnaturalhealth.com if you want some of the best natural and organic health products ever. and I will make them with these two hands. I don't have any employees, it's just me, and I really appreciate your business. So I'm going to try kind of more now to give people the benefit of the doubt that they are doing their best. Although I don't think that a lot of people have done their best in the past to get a new set of priorities. I think that people are going to just maybe just for my own welfare, I'm going to try and be more positive in regards to people's lifestyles and actions and all of that. Yeah, just for my own mental benefits and not being too mad at them and worried about things, etc. It's good, I think, to just be allowing of things to pan out and give it time. Yeah. Not everyone is as strong as me, and not everyone is in the same situation. Like, even though I've realized a long time ago that I didn't need the ball and chain of children or school loans or a mortgage, etc. All the things that I tell you to stay away from. And so I was really strong and stayed away from those things. I did good. But other people may not have been so strong, and they got into a bind, and so now they're there. But now, hopefully, some things will change, and they can simplify their lives and find a nice balance. Because I've seen people go from, like, they have too much stuff, and then they sold it all off to simplify their lives so that they could live like a, what do they call those? Not like a monk, but the people that live very simplistically. What is that? Somebody write that down. Happy to support a real craftsman as well. Thank you. Thank you. But anyways, and then they went and simplified their lives too far, and then they didn't even have like tools to be able to do anything that they needed to do, you know? I mean, we need things. We need things that are help us to do our daily lives, screwdrivers and hammers and whatever we need. So, yeah, I'm not thinking as much about my own personal benefits now as I'm just focusing on doing my job. I'm kind of just hoping that everyone gets through this whole thing and everyone makes the changes that they need to make and that we see some good things over it. But you should know that we're going to see hell as well. I'm just hoping that human beings have evolved to the point of where they can keep their sanity. Do you know what I mean? Because when the you know what hits the fan, there is a definite tendency for people to lose it, and you're going to see that. I'm afraid to say, but that's how it is. You know, change is hell. I don't know how many times I've said that, but probably in the hundreds or thousands. Change is so difficult, and it can create chaos. Oh, I hope that also that some of you are getting your unemployment benefits from the government. I know that some of you are. And thank God that I am making some sales, because I won't be seeing any workmen and unemployment or stuff like that from the government. I'll have to just keep busting ass. I will get the $1,200 check, but I don't know when, because I don't have automatic payments from the government. So I've been tightening up my holistic reins in a lot of different regards, not just mentally, but also I think with my diet. And I've been eating I've come to a deeper understanding that I need to eat raw greens and or like cabbage with every meal. And I think that it's just because I'm to that point. I'm up to that point of where I'm ready to do that. And I think that because I've been doing this for so long and I've been watching my body and mind going through all these different changes for so long that I know that, like, for instance, there's no way that I'd have been ready to do anything like this, like just eating raw greens and stuff with every single meal to keep my digestive system intact and not overladen with bacteria, etc. There's no way that I could have done that as an extreme example when I was trying to quit smoking 28 years ago. I was just trying to quit smoking. And you'll find also that it's most likely that you're not going to find people, Neanderthalian people, that are willing to watch me on these programs for very long. Because they're not ready to listen to things like what I'm talking about. There's no way. It's like they're just trying to stop doing heroin, or they're just trying to stop smoking, or they're just trying to stop drinking. What they need to do is go to an AA meeting tonight, not this. So whatever you're ready for, you might be ready to really start going for it now, because this coronavirus is creating a lot of change. And it could be an emotional thing that you're really needing to address. I've been through the ringer with a lot of different things, and if anyone's interested in doing a holistic consultation, all they have to do is go to brettsnaturalhealth.com and click on holistic consultations, read through the spiel, and then send me an email with a signing that you agree that you know that I'm not a doctor or blah, blah, blah. Thank God. Thank God. If I were a doctor, think about that. I'm smart enough to be a doctor. I could have been a general practitioner doctor, and I could have a nice house and a nice Mercedes, and I could go into work and I've got a nice secretary, maybe a hottie with a great body. And I've got my poodle, and I go in, and I sit at my desk there, and people come in, and I examine them, and then I think about the drugs that I'm going to prescribe to them, what might be appropriate for their high blood pressure or their mental illness or something. And then I get in my car, and I go back home, and I eat some junk food, probably, some not very healthy food. But I'll tell you that the lifestyle that I'm living now, the one that I've achieved now, it's just a little bit better than that one. It's just a little bit more ethical than that one. It's just a little bit higher vibration than that one. And I'm really quite happy. Even though, I don't own my own place and I drive a 93 Toyota Corolla wagon. I love my car, as you know. But, yeah, so somebody has mentioned a couple of times, I've heard several people talk about how children are getting the coronavirus and dying. How can that be? And they're thinking to themselves that, how can that be? And that they're thinking, a lot of them are thinking, man, if children can catch it and die, then anybody can, right? Well, I'll tell you from my experience that when I was 24 years old, I was breathing a lot of smog in San Diego. I was breathing a whole lot of smog and exposing my body to a lot of chemicals in my auto detailing business. It had only been that was right when I was quitting smoking. So I was still a smoker. I still had 11 mercury fillings. Most of those molars are gone now. And all of those mercury fillings are gone now. But I had a lot of mucoid plaque in my digestive system. I had been taking Accutane for many, many sessions that the dermatologist told me was the Cadillac of acne drugs. And I was like, man, that sounds cool. The Cadillac of acne drugs. And so I had a lot of health issues back then. And when I went on a 10-day fast, just a random that I didn't even know I was going to because another doctor prescribed Pepcid AC to me, I got really, really sick for like 3-4 days, and I lost like 15 pounds over that short period of time. And if I think back to how much toxicity I had in my body at that very young age, it doesn't surprise me one bit that some young people are dying from the coronavirus. Not even one little bit. Because a lot of people out there, a lot of young people, are not very healthy at all. In fact, genetically, they're really going downhill due to all of these toxins in the environment and people's poor diets. And people do that over generation. They get worse and worse. Their teeth get worse. Their eyesight gets worse. Their bone structures get worse. Their intestinal flora gets worse. Everything goes downhill the more their parents and their parents and their parents continue to reproduce. Pretty soon you're going to have people that all come out of the womb like thin and deficient. And like they're going to look weird. They're going to look all fucked up. They're all going to have Down syndrome or whatever. And when they get old, they're all going to have like my father has now. Sorry. It's getting late and it's just about bedtime. And it's a good thing. I'm near to the end of the list. It is. Oh, I've only been on for an hour. That's good. I can get to bed soon. So, let me read just a few comments. I'm doing really good with drinking a psyllium shake every morning. Every morning, y'all. Oh, and y'all want to see Chakra? Hey, Chakra, come here, baby. Come over here. Yeah, come. Come over here, everybody. Some people were saying that Chakra doesn't look healthy the other day. And it was after I'd shaved her, and I assumed that it was just because she, she's older, and she has a couple of fatty things. Like I had a client that had those fatty lymphomas, not lymphomas, lipomas. Lipo having to do with fat. Lipomas on. She has a couple of lipomas, and she has one other thing on her belly here that's kind of a hard rock thing that I might have it removed sometime. But she's so old that you don't want to put them under anesthesia because they might not come out of it. But she's actually quite healthy. One person said, what's wrong with her eye? A friend of mine said, what's wrong with Chakra's eye? There's nothing wrong with it. She's doing just fine. See? She cuddles with me. We're not going to be putting her down for a while. She's very, very special. And she eats about $300 a month worth of health food. Okay. So does anybody have any questions before we sign out? I want you to know that I hope that I really hope that you have a really great week this week. And try to take it easy. Try to take it mellow and try and really focus on the things that you're doing, whether even if it's just like washing the dishes or sweeping the floor. Because see, most of the things that we do in our lives, they're just things that we're doing, just like average, everyday things. But if you think about it, think about how important it is just to enjoy every moment. So you might look down at that floor and you see that your arms are sweeping the floor with the broom, and the dust is collecting on the floor in a pile. And you're thinking to yourself, that's no big deal. I see that every day. Somehow, some way, you've got to find joy in that simple activity. And one of the best things that you can do when you're doing something like that is to just take a nice deep breath. That's what the coronavirus is like all about, to teach us another thing, like the importance of the air quality and the breath and the lungs. How huge is that? It's really important. And it's something that you can do with every single activity. And if your air is clean, you'll intentionally want to take deep breaths. There was a time, though, that I lived close to a freeway and a highway, and a lot of the time, especially during rush hour in the morning and in the afternoon, I caught myself like intentionally and subconsciously not breathing very deeply, just shallow breaths. And then when I moved to the country, I felt as though those restrictions had been released and removed and let go. But now, with the coronavirus, it's likely that almost anyone can go outside and get a relatively clean breath of fresh air. And so if you're doing some petty job, whatever it is that you're doing, some small thing, thank you, Joe. Hello box, isn't it? So it's most likely that even if you're doing just some simple thing, like sweeping the floor, that you can take some nice, clean, deep breaths, and you can give thanks to the coronavirus for that. Even if you live in India, in New Delhi, even if you live in China, in one of the worst, most polluted cities, you can probably go outside. You can probably breathe a lot fresher air, cleaner air than a couple of months ago, thanks to the coronavirus. So that's just about it, everybody. Thanks, to Joe for $10. I really appreciate you, man. And mostly Joe tonight in Christ, Montana. Rosalind. So I want to thank you so much for joining me. And yes, have a really good week. And don't worry about things. Just focus on whatever you're doing and breathe. And know that everything, no matter what anybody tells you as like to try and get clicks or to try and scare you or to try and manipulate your money or whatever they're trying to do because they have their own agenda. Remember, everyone has their own agenda and some agendas are not good for you and or society in general. They're just quick fixes like pharmaceutical medicine, like drugs. But if you focus on just what you're doing, and you know that there are greater energies in control of this planet, higher beings, whatever they may be, God knows, that everything is going to work out to be just fine. So thanks for joining me, everybody. Have a great week.